Okay, so today is August 1st. It is a Wednesday. It's a nice, bright, sunny day, so I currently have my window open. While Xena is trying to load on Netflix, my internet loves to keep going out, and so I haven't really been able to solidly watch this one freaking episode. So, I guess I decided to do a video blog. First one. First official video blog. The other video that I made that had me in it, that one was a rant. And quite the rant. In fact, my friend from Singapore says apparently I have stamina because I didn't repeat myself in 18 minutes of recording. And
as for you,
there's,
No. Think about it. Think about it. Oh.
Anyway, we'll put that on pause. It's Netflix through my Wii. I like black. And I like color. Anyway. So, yesterday, we had court. We had court, and it was involving my niece, my sister's daughter, and we were there from 9 o'clock at night until 5 in the evening, all just to lose the case. My sister lost her parental rights, all under unlawful and unfair means. First off, CPS had gone against the judge's orders, which October 13th, 2010, I have the excerpt of proceedings here. That this is what the judge was saying. Another interesting thing, the laundry list of things that are alleged here in the laundry list of things that are not. She's not a druggie, she's not a hooker, she's got an education, she comes from a hoarding household. And yet, as bad as you want to make it sound, I looked at those pictures for the most part, and the stuff, there's a lot of stuff, but it's organized. A lot of it. Because CPS originally got involved in the case because, my step family, my aunt on my step family, and my cousins just showed up out of nowhere, came to the house. 10 minutes after leaving, they called CPS because the house was a mess. Which, yes, my room might look like a cluttered mess, but believe it or not, it is organized, everything is placed, and what you see is just a small corner of my room. My floor is completely clean. I have my dresser. I have my bookcase, which is half full of food. In case of an emergency, I just pack it all into a bag and run. Then I have my bed behind me. And there's a door out of my room. There's the computer. There's the TV with all of my game systems. It's a very organized room. Excuse me. Holy crap. The drink you just saw me drinking earlier is a mix of some homemade plum liquor that I have in here. I have 2 more gallons of plum wine underneath my bed, and I mixed some of the liquor with this drink right here, which is a juice soda. I normally don't drink soda, but anyway, the judge continues on to say, well, the truth of the matter, Tila, who is my sister, is that you're not going to be able to take your child around your mother in her home, as sad as that might be. Okay, it's just not going to happen. When the time comes and you're going to be able to have your daughter around your mother, it's going to have to come on your terms, not hers. Okay. Or or you're going to be having people like me in your life. That's unfortunate. We've got a dependency here. But in all honesty, it's only marginal where you're concerned. The real dependency is against your mother. True fact. Because it's my mother's house. CPS was involved because of the condition of my mother's house, not because of how my sister was treating my niece. But we got to get you on your feet first. I want this child to come home to you the sooner the better. So you've got to get a place to live. You've got to have a way to either get into school, check out the culinary arts school, get some grants. They're available. You were a foster child. You've got access to resources I didn't have. Take advantage of them. You've got a home. You've got a plan for a future, for income. Baby's child. Baby's dad is not going to be around, you know. We can't just have him around until he squares away his business. Okay. So somewhere along the line, you're going to have to get a restraining order. You've got to continue with your counseling and some parenting classes. But guess what? They're not always right. It's okay to question. It's okay to make suggestions. You might be wrong, but it's okay. I would rather have you learn and challenge those of us in authority with proper questions and new ideas. That's how we learn. Okay? Defensive? You betcha we're defensive. I would be too. There's nothing wrong with that. It keeps you alert. But just remember, don't overdo it. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. So the child is going to stay with your aunt for a while longer. This is not a permanent situation. She is going to get a great deal more time with this infant immediately. I don't care how it's arranged. She's very astute. She's very observing. She knows this child's cues and are changing. And because she is not there, she is missing that, so she doesn't know how to react. And you can't change that in an hour's visit. Duh. When you take away a child away from their mother at only a month old, of course the parent's not going to be able to automatically read the cues as the baby gets older. She's now 2 years old. And of course, you know, a mother isn't going to get parenting skills if she's not exposed to the child on a very constant basis. And that's what a lot of CPS's tactic was. Is she doesn't have parenting skills. And the attack approach that they used in the court session yesterday was how she was A, missing appointments, and B, externalizing herself, meaning that she was, quote unquote, blaming the world around her for issues that she pretty much logically had no control over. I mean, she takes the bus 2 hours to go, well, technically 6 hours because the bus is a really long time. But normally, if you're driving in a regular car, it takes 2 hours to get to the visitation center where she was having visits with her daughter in 2 separate counties away. So here we are. Buses will be late. They hit traffic jams, they get popped tires, or some goon on the bus decides to make a ruckus. That is not my sister's fault, because she's just sitting there. She's a passenger. How is she going to control the flow of whatever happens around her? That's not her fault. Yet they're saying that she's externalizing and not blaming herself, that it doesn't matter if a bus is late, that she's still supposed to make it anyway. The times that she gets sick, or the times where she has to juggle herself around other people's schedules because other people are just discriminating against her, and that's what this is. Because when CPS became involved, like I said, it was because of the condition of my mother's house, not because of how Tila was treating the child. However, because of my step-aunt, there was a lot of hearsay and no thorough investigation upon these hearsays. And so it became a case of discrimination against my mother, who was quote-unquote not good enough for my stepfather, who is now deceased, because my sister and even myself carry the blood of my mother in us. We are also persecuted against. And now that my sister has had a child that is a blood relative, blood granddaughter of Charlie, who is my stepdad, deceased. And so not only is the family being vindictive towards my bloodline, or rather my mom's bloodline, they are being, they have yet to move on. And so they have to cling to anything that's left of my stepfather. That's pretty much the end of it. So the other part of the problem with the court yesterday was we had a newbie lawyer who was really green and wet behind the ears. Didn't know what he was doing. Also, apparently, we were not notified. I did not find this out until I was talking with my niece's father yesterday. Every time that we had a new lawyer come into the picture, the case legally should have been started from the ground up to refresh the new lawyer on what the hell was going on, give a fresh perspective, everything. And yet that was not being done. Every time we had to change a lawyer, and it was not our fault at all. The case just kept on going, and the lawyer had no leg to stand on. So 4:43 in the afternoon came the verdict from the judge yesterday, and my sister lost her parental rights. It's not completely over yet. We still have an appeal that we can file. My grandmother is going to find an adoption lawyer and start the adoption process for her to get custody of my niece instead of my aunt, who's probably already got the paperwork filled out and everything. So this has been a very crappy last few days for myself and my family. And the thing is I have a really strong attachment to my niece. And considering when we celebrated her second birthday on the 19th of July, from what I could personally view, Kaida also has a very strong attachment to me. It was quite funny, actually. I'm sitting there watching Kaida. She's eating a chocolate chip cookie, and of course, you know, being a 2-year-old, sorry, stuttered, they get messy. And so she had like chocolate all over her face and all over her hands. And so I was looking around for a wipe to wipe her face and hands off. And so I asked my sister, I'm like, hey, where's the wipe? She's like, they're on the couch near my bag. Why do you need them? And I was like, because I need to wipe off Kaida's face. And she kind of peeked her head over the wall and was looking out at me. She's like, Kaida normally doesn't like me wiping on her face because I can't seem to use wipes on her face. I have to use a paper towel. And she goes back in and starts washing the dishes at the visitation center, and I just ignored it. I ignored it. Kaida was in front of me. She was more than willing. So I grabbed the wipe, and I held it up, and I folded it a few times, and I went like, I had it in my hands and was about to go like this, and Kaida closes her eyes, closes her mouth, puts her hands up like this, and I just wipe her face, I wipe her hands, not a single problem at all. And Tila comes in, and she's like, oh, now that's not right. That's not fair. I was just like, he. So, and Kaida kept running and tackling me. In fact, she nearly broke my nose with her shoulder. Good God. She was just like, run. So, yeah, I am very strongly attached to my niece. And so, I mean, this is pretty hard on all of us. And, at this point, we are a low, almost no income family. We have absolutely no way to get any sort of help. And to ensure that we're not really screwed over or just wishy-washed, because pro bono lawyers aren't called public pretenders for no reason. Public pretenders, yeah, they're not really going to work for you. Because half the time you will see that pro bono lawyers are often friends with prosecutors, and hey, they'll go out and have a drink. Of course, they're not going to work in your favor in that regard. But outside of the court case yesterday, I didn't manage to get my assignment done. I was due yesterday, which is the first assignment I have not turned in for this class, and I have an 84.77%. I aim at a B, and this is just gonna totally cramp it. I'm gonna still get it in and turn it in late, but it's the first step for my final project. My class ends on the 8th of August, and I am taking a 6-week break. I will be starting classes again September 20th. In the meantime, I'll be doing a lot of necessary obligations that I've had planned out for a while. For example, I'm going to be babysitting a friend's kid from the 9th or 10th until the 20th. It could even be longer now because thankfully I finally got rid of that stalker British guy who is a supposed millionaire and wanted me to have his kids. I had absolutely no problem with it. I mean, hey, if I could marry into riches, that would be great. And, especially if I could grow to love the person over time. However, I am not arm candy. I am not someone's property. I own myself. I treasure my freedom. That will always remain true. Whoever I get with, male, female, or other, I'm pansexual, by the way, I will not let people walk all over me. That's just not gonna fly. I've had enough of it. For example, there was a former junior high school friend of mine. Her name was Tracy. And I also had an elementary school friend that I had known from the 6th grade. Her name was Megan. And Tracy and I had been talking for a few months when I had been down in Mississippi with my dad. I had gotten pretty tired of my dad and his alcoholism, and I was planning to come back up to Washington. Tracy was like, well, wait, hey, why don't we roommate together? So I came back up here. We started roommating. I moved some of my stuff in, and things went good for like the first 2 weeks, and then she would go off for hours to days on end, never coming home, not doing any chores when she is home. So I was suddenly deemed her babysitter. Later on, we were roaming around in Hoquiam at one point and came across Megan. And originally, when I introduced Megan and Tracy, it went from myself and Megan and myself and Tracy to the 3 of us to 2 weeks later, the 2 of them. That was a pretty big mistake on my part. Ooh, yeah. But because I was a roommate, I was going to try and talk things out. Yet when I did, everything was always thrown back at me. And here I am having to bust my ass to do chores and to look for a job and to babysit her ass. So Tracy and her grandmother finally kicked me out with nothing but the clothes on my back, which that was pretty much literally true. Within 24 hours, Tracy stole $2,000 worth of my belongings, which was 171 books, a game, a chair, a pocket knife set, and I think an incense holder. And she hacked my Gaia Online account, my original one. She also proceeded to harass me for a year. And because her and Megan became such good friends, Megan had access to Megan's paralegal mother, who thinks I'm the incarnation of the Antichrist. And so Tracy tried to legally force me to pay her $1,000 she supposedly claims I owed her, which I did not. And she had already stolen more than I owed her, even if I did owe her. So it's not like it really mattered. But she continued to harass me for about 3 years. I had gone to I went to Norway in December of 2009 Didn't get back until May 2010. Mysteriously, I came across Megan at Walmart in Aberdeen, and Megan and I were willing to reconcile and everything like that. And apparently, in between the time that I had left and had come back, Tracy had gotten married to her virgin baggage boyfriend turned husband. Apparently, Tracy's quote unquote husband used to be her manager at Dairy Queen and was. Excuse me, I'm gonna have to answer this.